The On the night of the Seder, we do, as everybody knows, many things to prompt questions. We do things in the wrong order. I mean, we're not used to the kind of meal that they had in the time of the Gemara, which was a kind of Roman type cultural meal in which there was plates and people would lay down on couches and there were tables. The Gemara describes all this. And so when we cover the Seder plate, or we take it away, or we uncover it, or lift it, all these things would have prompted questions that they might not prompt for us, And so you have to figure out at your own Seder how to do things to prompt questions, because the Torah always phrases the Seder as the child asking questions. What's going on here? Why is this night different? What is this service to you? There have to be questions. It can't just be answers. It has to be perplexity. There's some kind of strangeness about the night that has to be encountered. There's a very interesting idea that Rabbi Malamed in the Pnei Halacha he says maybe there's more going on here than just like intergenerational education. He says maybe when the child says, why is this night different, it doesn't just mean that, but this night symbolizes the Jewish people as a nation, that this is the birth of the Jewish nation. And so the question is actually a much bigger one. It's like, I thought the world is just a normal place. You get up, you do your thing, you go about your life, you do the things you need to do, and then you die, and that's just how life is, and life goes on generation to generation. I didn't realize there's something else going on, that there's a Jewish people, and that's very odd, that there's sort of this other mission going on, under the scene, and the Jewish people have this kind of special place in the world, which reminds one of the anti-Semitic verses of poetry. They say that was meant as anti-Semitic, written by a British journalist. It's a very well-known line. His name was Ewer was his last name. I just looked it up. It's not something I knew, although I knew the phrase. And he very famously said, "How odd of God to choose the Jews." And so I guess I was taken as anti-Semitic, but the truth is that's a very profound idea. It is a very strange thing. And in fact, Moshe sort of says this to the Jewish people. Moshe says to the Jewish people in Parshas Vaschan and in Dvarim, he says, people will ask, of the early days that came before you, from the time that God created the world, has there ever been a thing like? Have you ever hanishma kamo? Have you ever heard something like this? Moshe says to the Jewish people, Hashama kol elokim, that people heard the voice of God coming out of a fire. O haniso lekim lavo lekachas lo goy mikarev goy, or God plucks out one nation from another because that nation is going to be special. That's what Moshe says. Moshe says, isn't that basically Moshe saying the same thing as it's kind of the same phraseology? And perhaps that's a very profound notion of Pesach. What Pesach is the coming to terms with the world not as a normal place, not as the place we imagine it from day to day, but as a place with an underlying profound mission. And that the Jewish people have to own up to that. I mean, that really puts the Seder night, I think, on a very profound plane.